Alright, well, let's do a little Fleabay edition. And I normally say let's do a quickie little Fleabay edition, but they end up being a half an hour or so. So let's just start going through and see what we see. We look under Atlas Milling Machines. We've got a couple of new listings here, and this is from a seller that I don't really recognize. I've been around for a while. Atlas horizontal milling machine knee gib lock handle. It is part number M1-42A. It has some marks and pitting. It comes as shown in the photos. See photos for details. These parts were pulled from Atlas horizontal milling machine. It is a Change-O-Matic M1-1. And this is the knob that would go on the knee of the mill. And they want 45 bucks for it and free shipping. This is kind of used and abused, which most of them are kind of used and abused. You see some chipping on the chrome there and everything. Now the ones that I have seen primarily have a little dog point turned down on this end. Now that's not the case on this one, so exactly why I'm not sure. Is this worth 45 bucks? Now this is a smaller handle, and it came off the knee. Apparently it would have several applications. It would also fit the cross slide, and this also is the lock that holds both the overarm cover and the if you have a coolant tank set up or some sort of a coolant system, this is the knob that fits in the lock on that bracket that goes on the top, which is pretty much the same, if not exactly the same, as the tailstock support that goes on the 6-inch lathe. So let's look. Now I'm looking at this. I'm assuming that's just a shadow. That may be cracking on the knob itself or of the Zamac. If that's indeed the case, then this is about to fall apart. And maybe it's not. It doesn't look like I see that same kind of see this. It's a reflection apparently out of something in the picture. Is this little handle worth 45 bucks? I don't personally feel so, but this is another one. You know, I make the bigger lock arm handles, which we'll see in the next listing from this same seller. And my reproductions in stainless steel are going to be more expensive than what he's selling the pair of the factory overarm locks, although they're kind of in ragged condition too. I will at some point produce these knobs. I just haven't got around to do it. As we spend more time on Atlas parts, why you'll see more of these parts coming out of my little shop. So used and abused, you know. I mean, the chrome's flaking on and been chipped and pitted a little bit. So make your own decisions as to whether this is worth the 45 bucks he's wanting. This is a pretty ragged looking piece here. Anyway, let's move on. Same seller on this one, Atlas horizontal milling machine lock handles M1-47. $85 or best offer and free shipping. So same seller, same listing and everything. I'm not going to hammer on these too bad. You can look at the condition and decide for yourselves if this is something that you want on your machine. So these actually don't look too bad chrome wise. I'll always see a little bit of yuck down here on the bottom sections of them. I've seen a whole lot worse handles like the ones in the last picture. It does have some pitting and stuff on them. So you're going to have to decide for yourselves if this is what you want on your machine or not. Yeah, this one shows a little bit more. These have been beat around, and you know, most of this stuff, if they show any moisture at all, what you're going to see, it looks almost like the chrome's pitting in places, and that's what it is, a little bit of moisture under that Zamac. Usually, anyway. So there they are. Let's move on. Now, here we're getting back into the same seller that we've talked about before continuously. This is the same one that wanted 400 bucks for the large guard on the Atlas Shaper, and then I think 300 or 400 for the smaller guard. Got a whole bunch of listings. Outstanding. Outstanding. Atlas horizontal mill M1-35 11 MF18 lead screw assembly. Pre-owned, $350 and $21.50 shipping. You know, I hate to keep ragging on this guy, but he's literally selling shit. These are junk parts. And as a side note, I discovered this stuff yesterday morning, I believe, and I was looking through it. And I added up the parts he's listed for this mill, and of course they're all off the same mill, just in this section. And I think he had, I don't remember if it was $2,300 or $3,300 worth of parts just in this junk that he's selling. And when you look at it, most of the parts, like the bearings and things like that, aren't in this listing. He's either already sold them or plans on selling them something. Anyway, let's see if we can let's just look at the big pictures. I'm not going to zoom in on these. His description says, Atlas horizontal mill parts, no breaks, repairs, or surprises. And then he tells what they are, and lists them as outstanding condition. Outstanding. I mean, how can you go wrong when a lister's telling you they've got something that's outstanding? Now, I'm not going to zoom in on these. I would suggest, if you want to go in and really get a better feel for these, or what this guy's selling and what to be looking for on these, go in and look at these pictures a little bit closer. Stuff that I noticed before, and I may miss some stuff on here. You'll look at this end bearing assembly or end plate assembly. And this is a chrome plated part. It's just beat to crap along here. In this area right here, it's all beat up and screwed up. And I'm just going off of memory without going in and looking at these closer. As I recall, the gear didn't look too bad. If you look closely, you can see in portions of this, although it is hard to see in the pictures, you'll see some of these threads in certain sections, and I think it's primarily through here if I remember correctly. If you look very closely, you can see them rounded a little bit on the top, where they're quite a bit crisper out on the ends, I believe. So this thing is well used. This is junk, and he calls it outstanding condition. If you go back and look at this bearing assembly right here on the ends of it, you can see where it's pulled out. That's just excessive wear. There's been crap in there and it's wore out. This is junk this guy is selling. You'll see markings down here on the ends, both where the set screws lock onto it, and which you're going to expect to see that to a certain degree, and then where the keyway sets in, why it's all chewed up and rolled over. So yeah, if you look, this is one of the big pictures, a little bit bigger here. The dial, I don't know, as I remember there was some markings on it and stuff, but this whole assembly is a worn out piece of crap. Why would you buy this junk? There's a little bit better picture, and if nothing else, look at the lighting differences. Look how it's a little bit brighter in this section or a little bit lighter in this section. It's where it's worn out. You know, you look at the outer extremities, the threads are a little bit crisper on the upper edges and everything. And when you zoom in on these and get to looking, well, it's junk. Junk, junk, junk. But look at the ends of these, both ends on the nut itself, aside with being all discolored and screwed up. Why, the threads are worn out in there. This is junk. There you can see right in there, it looks like a little bit of corrosion and stuff, but right there you can see the keyway cutout is all rolled over where they pried on there or done something with who knows what. Yeah, look at this, look at this. Look at how well it's worn back here where that dial's bore against that for who knows how many years. Just wore out this piece of junk. Junk, junk, junk. Yeah, look at this. Look at all this crap in here. That's without zooming in and looking at it close. Yeah, look at this end. Look at that brass rolled out there. And they're going to say outstanding condition. Well, how much end play is in that? That's a piece of shit. And the pictures. Oh, here we got. And, you know, this was all flat and chrome plated. Look at how well that's worn, how that lead screw is, or how that bearing is worn against there. And they're telling you it's outstanding. This seller is just a real piece of work. Just a real piece of work. And that's only the first one. $350. No, that's worth 40 bucks. You know, you're going to get a decent gear down here on the end of it that's functional. That's all that's there that's any good. You know, it's just junk. Outstanding Atlas horizontal mill M1403B hinge pin 160, 40 bucks and $9.65 shipping. Now this is worth looking at only from the standpoint of this is just a straight turn shaft. But if we look at this, look at the big bend right there in the middle. That thing's all bent up, and we're going to tell you it's in outstanding condition. This guy's a piece of work. And I don't know this guy, other than I'm seeing his junk listed here. You know, it's all, you're better off to take a piece of steel and turn that if you need that hinge rather than give this yahoo 40 bucks and $10 shipping. Yeah, this is foolish. This guy is just nothing but a snake oil salesman here. That's all he is. Outstanding Atlas horizontal mill MH43 rack, MHC model only P159. Now this only fits the production model, but he wants $40 and 1610 shipping. Now when you look at this, 1610 shipping. No breaks, repairs, or surprises. Outstanding condition. Outstanding. All right. Well, and I'm going to say there's nothing wrong with this rack. Nothing at all wrong with this rack, other than the fact that it's a standard piece of rack. You can go and buy a piece from McMaster-Carr brand new for probably a whole lot less money. I haven't bought any of this stuff for quite a few years, but the last I bought was a 4-foot length, and it was, you know, way back when I bought it, it was 10 or 15 bucks for the full length, and then shipping to get it in the door. I'm sure you can source this cheaper. Now when you look at these nuts on the back side of this, evidently they're there just to hold the high quality screws that hold it in position, because this does not use nuts to hold them on. I think those are probably a standard 1032, going to be a domed head or a pan head screw to hold those on, and they've got 2 pins. Yeah, see, these are just a slotted head screw, the standard Atlas style, a little bit fairly thick-headed screw, which doesn't matter as long as it's on there. You've got 2 pins that index it up onto the casting itself. Like I say, those nuts do not belong there. But this is just a standard piece of rack. This is nothing spectacular at all. Why in the world would you give somebody 40 bucks for this junk? 10 bucks and probably 8 or 10 bucks shipping, because I don't know that will fit in a small flat rate box, but that can be shipped a whole lot cheaper than 1610. Outstanding Atlas horizontal mill X-axis screw assembly M1-66 and 67, $140 and 1610 shipping. Outstanding. Outstanding. Let's change the description. Nope. No breaks, repairs, or surprises. Outstanding condition. That's the way these are all listed. This is standard early outboard assembly. The handle's been changed. You know, this outer handle on the hand wheel. That's not factory. That's somebody else's piece of something on there. You know, there's no sense in me talking about the screw condition, because it's going to be the same condition as the rest of it. Looks like that handle's pretty well chewed up on the outer edge here. Yeah, that's the wrong handle for it. Somebody's turned handle. And that hand wheel itself looks like that's been rubbed up against something quite a bit to where it's rubbed through the chrome. It's not any great shakes there. Wore out piece of junk. Wore out piece of junk, you know, and it's probably functional, but this guy has sunk to the level of trying to screw people over so bad that I have no respect. So when I look at most of his stuff, it's going to be classified as junk. All the chrome's gone off of there, beat up here, wrong hand, you know, not worth having. 140 bucks, that's worth about everything there, 50 bucks. If you feel generous and feel like supporting this guy. I hope nobody ever buys from him again. I hope we put him out of business. Everybody's got to be someplace doing something, but when you continuously just try and rip people off like this, I have no respect whatsoever. Outstanding Atlas horizontal mill knee lift screw assembly, pre-owned, 140 bucks and 1610 shipping. This is a knee lift, got the gear on the end. You know, it does have those parts. It doesn't look to be quite as beat up as the rest of the junk that he's selling. Although you look at these, this has probably been polished up, you know, enough to make it look better than what it actually is. You can see the Look at it. If you look close, you can see the vice grip marks on there where they've chewed up that part, taking it on and off. You know, there's the original handle that goes on these hand wheels. Look at your channel lock marks there, your plier marks there, vice grips, whatever the case may be, to loosen that up rather than using the proper wrench. That's all chewed up there. Got a shim bearing on there. I don't necessarily remember a shim bearing, although that would be a good place to put a small shim washer, brass or otherwise, something like that. Got the gear on the end. You know, these don't really go bad, so I mean, if you need one, you probably got, you're not up and down in the middle, raising and lowering it that much to where it's probably okay. But why do you need one? You know, you're not going to get anything better than what you had before. There again, you got those vice grip marks there on the end. Looks like you've got some grip marks down here. Just more junk being sold. That's all it is. 140 bucks my ass. 50 bucks. 50 bucks. Now this is going to be, there's a couple interesting ones. These are the same thing, same seller. Outstanding Atlas horizontal mill M1-43X lift screw assembly. 220 bucks and 1600 shipping. Now, you don't see these a whole lot. You normally do not see them. Well, what's the description say here while we're looking? It's going to say the same thing. Yep, no breaks, repairs, or surprises. Outstanding condition. Outstanding. Now, I've not looked at this very close because I didn't figure it was worth looking at, but some things to note about this is normally you will see these are a double screwed assembly. Normally after these are worn a while, when it transitions from the, you know, you'll crank it up or down and run out of lift on the first lead screw or the first elevation screw, then it will transition to the second screw. When it does that, normally both going up and down, they will bind on there, and it's from wear. You know, you'll catch a glitch mark there, and if you're actually trying to raise the table under power, why, that can be a problem. But the reality is, if you've got one that does that, guess what? This is going to do the exact same thing, so why waste your money? You know, don't fall into that trap. It's not going to work for you. You're going to have the same problem with this one. So when we look at it, what's it worth? Can look a little bit closer there. Be interesting to see just what the entire screw length looks like, and I don't know that it gives. We don't have a good picture of it. It doesn't really show anything that shows that internal screw. I'll bet it's well worn, well used and abused. Why would you buy that crap? 220 bucks and 1610 shipping. There again, 50 bucks. 50 bucks, that's all it's worth. No more. Outstanding Atlas horizontal mill M1-31X spindle assembly bearings and pulleys. 350 bucks. You know, I could go look at it. Now the bearings for the mill are not a super expensive bearing, and I preach that you need to be replacing bearings and races on anything you do rather than putting these used piece of crap bearings and races on. Now you will also notice there's no races that go with this set of bearings. It's because he's selling the headstock later on and the races are still in that headstock. Once they've been run one to the other, no, don't do that. Just replace them. Don't fall into this trap. Yeah, it's got a pulley. I just bought one of these pulleys. I think I gave, well, it's been a while back and we discussed it. I think I gave, what, 30 bucks for the pulley, something like that. You're not gaining anything by spindle. Look at all the rust on the end of that spindle there. This end you don't see it, but on the back end, look at all that rust. And probably look at those bearings. Those bearings look like they've got some, if you look at the close-up pictures, looks like we've got some pitting on those bearings themselves. I don't know about this side, and I'm not going to look that close. 350 bucks? No. Smoking dope. Smoking dope, smoking dope. You can't see inside. Maybe he'll show inside the spindle so you can see that. bull gear on it. I think that's the bull gear. Looks to be in okay condition. I mean, you don't see a problem with those, but you know, if he's going to think that's worth big bucks, it's not. Yeah, look at all that. Look at all that brown there. Look at that. Yuck. That's bad. It does have the dust covers that go on. Of course, they don't go on that way as they go in the headstock. He's just slammed this back together. Well, it's chewed up on the end. You know, that's where your drawbar will go in, and it's all beat up on this end, or it's not going to center up right with your drawbar, which probably doesn't matter, but why wouldn't you want that to center up? Look at how brown it is back in there. Look at how brown that spindle is. This is a piece of crap. I shouldn't even have to say it's a piece of crap. It's from the seller. It's a piece of crap. 350 bucks. No, it's worth 100 bucks. Atlas horizontal mill, M14 table, T-slot drill press table, setup table. It's none of those things other than it's a milling machine table. 60 bucks, 86.85 shipping. Table has a broken sidewall for a few inches. See photos. Well, I've already looked at the photos on this. And you look at this end down here, whole thing's busted out. Now, when I say that, this can be repaired. If you're working in your own shop, you can repair that. Find yourself another piece of cast iron, and that can be brazed in there. Once that table's finished out, you will not know it. You know, I mean, to the untrained eye, even to the trained eye, if it's done well, you're not going to see a problem, and it will function fine on a milling machine like that. But to try and sell it the way it is, and it's pretty well. This table's pretty well yucked up. A lot of pitting on there. In this condition, look at the big chew mark there. It's a piece of junk. Piece of junk. Huh. Value-wise, it's worth 60 bucks. But not with 86.85 shipping. You know, shipped in your door, 80 bucks. Gotta let the dog in. I have a very demanding shop dog. He's also the house dog. He wanted me to let him in so he could probably go back and go to bed on my bed. Okay. Same seller, Atlas horizontal mill, M15 cross slide with the 10F nut, 12 gib, 56 gib, $350 and 1610 shipping. He wants $350. We know, and 1610 shipping. Let's look at it. Let's see the description. It just says Atlas horizontal mill parts. He doesn't even bother trying to lie to you about the rest of it. So this is the table that I was looking for quite a while. We know the nuts wore out. You know, that goes without saying. Nuts wore out. I think this has been cut out. I just now noticed that. I'm not sure. We'll have to look at pictures later on. It's got the gibs with it. He wants $350 for this. And this is the exact same part that I sat and looked for several months and gave $35 for it. Didn't have the nut. Don't care about the nut. The nut's a piece of junk. It had the gibs. I believe it had the gib screws with it. So I got this exact same part. You know, I've been watching one of these that one of the other sellers that I had made an offer on wanted $79 for his, and it's been listed on there for months. He didn't accept my offer, and it's still listed on there, and yet this yahoo wants $350 for this. No gib screws. No nothing. No nothing. Like I say, the one I ended up and did buy, I gave 35 bucks for, and probably shipping on top of that. I don't remember, but I think it was about 35 bucks. Had the Gibbs, had Gibbs screws, I believe, but no nut, for 35 bucks. And this yahoo wants 350. Yeah, I don't think so. Here he's selling a homemade motor base assembly that was apparently on that mill for 25 bucks and 1610 shipping. Not even going to look at it. It's a welded up piece of, couple pieces of flat bar that are welded, screwed, put together, something. You don't want to put that on your mill. Now here he has the base casting, the M1A base casting, 350 bucks and 94.45 shipping. Nope, been down this road before. I'm not even going to go in and look at it. It is, you know, it's worth 60 bucks, maybe 80 bucks, and you know, in your door, 120 bucks. That's all it's worth. That shipping and everything in your door, 120 bucks, and he wants 350 for it and 95 shipping. No. Same thing, Atlas or the knee, MH6 knee, pre-owned, 225 and 2150 shipping. Looks like it's got the plates on it. 225 and 2150 shipping. Let's look at it. Let's look at it just because we can. What's it say? What's it say? Just Atlas horizontal mill parts. He's either too lazy to actually do a good description of it and sell them for a decent price, or else he is too ashamed to actually write anything about them. Let's look at this a little bit closer just because we can. Chewed up pretty good in that area. Standard knee, got the Gibbs on the back. Looks like there's a Gitz oiler on it, at least the one side. This may be casting flaws. This may be beat up at some point in time, and they've ground this down to kind of hide it. This is not a great looking casting anyway. This almost looks like an earlier model casting to me, although I can't say that for certain. No Gibbs screws on this side. Yeah, this has been probably wire brushed off. It's probably what's happened back here. Looks like, you know, those are nice and, well, they're cleaned up. So they would have been, looking at the rest of the condition of this mill, they would have been pretty grungy. This knee is worth 75 bucks. 75 bucks and 21.50 shipping. You know, I was being generous and saying the stuff that they were selling here a week or so ago was worth about half of what they were asking. This guy's so far out of sight, it's not even worth half. It's worth about a third. Atlas horizontal mill M12 head. Now this is the head. He wants 225 bucks and 21.50 shipping. This is where the races are for those bearings on the overpriced spindle he's got. 225 bucks. Yeah, just Atlas horizontal mill parts is all he lists them as. Look at this fine piece of junk. There's your races for the bearings. Now there's one of the dust covers that goes on there. Of course, it's retained by the race. Rusted up, paint flaking off. Can't tell if the race is in this side or not. Yeah, there's the race. There's your overarm bar support. Now the gib lock that other seller was selling early on, not only does it fit in the knee and everything below, it fits right in here. Now I've seen excuse me, I've seen screws of different lengths, and usually they have a dog point, but one of them goes right there. If you've got a lubrication system, it mounts to these two holes, and it's basically the 6-inch bearing, lead screw bearing support that goes on the tailstock end. It screws right on there, and then one of those same locks will be threaded to go into the top to lock that adjustable arm in position. It's a 1/2-inch arm that's adjustable. It has a little key that aligns in the keyway in the shaft that slides in and out so you can adjust position, and then it's got one of those knobs that locks down into position. So just so you're aware, this is one of the headstocks that has the lower door hinge portion cast into it. You know, you see a lot of them that were screwed on with 2 screws, and I'm not sure still if those were broken off or they just decided it was easier to screw on a mount there on the bottom of them rather than have that integral hinge. Nothing here other than it just bolts onto the column assembly. So yeah, another piece of garbage. 50 bucks. 50 bucks and 20 to ship it. That's what it's worth. These wanting 225. Smoking dope. A couple of milling attachments, some screws, some stuff we've looked at before. No sense in going back into that. And that takes care of milling machines. Boy, we spent a lot of time just on milling machines. On shapers, I don't believe there was anything to even look at that was new. No, still got that overpriced milling machine vise that's still there. Looking at lathe stuff. Now, couple of things here, and there's a couple of new listings that I've seen. Atlas Craftsman 10-12 inch metal lathe 4-step countershaft pulley, a 9-80 3/4 bore number 2, $39.95 and $12.95 shipping. This is a seller I don't necessarily recognize. Got quite a bit of feedback. Used, very good condition. Free local pickup, $12.99 expedited shipping. Original Atlas Craftsman 10-12 inch metal lathe 4-step countershaft pulley, 9-80 3/4 bore number 2 in excellent condition, but look at the pictures. This will be the one you will receive. Listed as in excellent condition. It's not in excellent condition because nothing's in excellent condition. If we look at this pulley, this is not a bad looking pulley. You know, I'm not gonna beat this seller up over this for his 40 bucks. Now, I'd said earlier there's a difference between the earlier and later pulleys, and I don't know that you can see it on all of them, but on this one, I believe this to be an earlier pulley because the way it was ejected from the permanent mold. And if you look at here, you see these little injection bosses. I believe those were ejection pins from the mold. So they ejected it out. Same way with these. You know, you'll see those little pin marks all the way around. So I believe this to be an earlier pulley. There again, 40 bucks and a little bit of shipping. I'm not going to beat this seller up over that. And I'm not sure what these marks are here, but those may just be scuff marks of some sort. They've got them. Looks like it was probably the belt sat there in that position for a while or something. Doesn't look like it really spun there. But nonetheless, I'm not, if you need a 3/4 inch bore pulley, I'm not going to beat up this seller or this part over that. That I think that's relatively fair. You know, so it's very good condition. Now these I did not notice before. Atlas Craftsman 10-12 inch metal lathe 2-step countershaft pulley, 9-427 3/4 inch bore, 2 pre-owned, $119.95 and $12.95 shipping. Now this is that same seller. Description should be the same. Yeah, bore in excellent, 3/4 inch bore in excellent condition, but look at the pictures. This is the one you'll receive. And he's got 2 of these listed for the same price. I think this is too much for this pulley. You know, I think we suddenly think that these, well, not suddenly, but I think we think that these larger countershaft pulleys are worth $100 and some bucks. I don't think they are. You know, I think these pulleys should be about, you know, 60 bucks. About half of what this one's listed for. Now, you know, before I didn't beat the seller up at all. I think he was fair as $39 for that one. I think $119.95 for this is way out of line. 2 of them listed there. Okay, he does have another one of those countershaft pulleys listed, exact same pulley. A little bit, yeah, maybe the same thing listed twice on those, I'm not sure. Anyway, little pulleys. Now he's got a Atlas Craftsman 10-12 inch metal lathe 10F9A apron casting number 2, $19.95 and $12.10 shipping. Same seller, excellent working condition. Now see, we know I don't think any of those are excellent. Description should be the same, yeah, except as appropriate for the thing. I think this is probably a good functional casting. We're showing a little bit of wear there and stuff. There again, I don't think 1995 is really out of line. You know, I'm not going to beat him up over that. I think that's probably a fair price. Been cleaned up a little bit. Looks kind of yucky up there. All of that may be casting flash. A little bit yucky, but I mean, for 20 bucks, that's about what they're worth. I think that's a fair price for that. Atlas Craftsman lathe, slotted dog drive face on 4 drive dogs, 1.5 eighth. Now this is from a seller that I didn't think too highly of. 48 bucks or best offer and 21.85. This has got an 1.5 eighth spindle, so you want to make sure that's appropriate. Face plate is, well, let's look at it. Let's look at the description, see what we say. Slotted drive dog face and 4 drive dogs, 1.5 eighth includes what is in pictures. So don't complain about the description, it's what it is. So if we look at big pictures, a lot of corrosion there, a lot of rust, a lot of corrosion, a lot of yuck. If 1.5 eighth is appropriate, kind of yucky looking, but if 1.5 eighth is appropriate, that is, I don't think, a bad price. 48 bucks and 21.85 shipping. I might or might not give that much for it, but you know, not too far out of line. Same seller, 10-inch lathe, live center, unmarked, 12 bucks or best offer and 14.75 shipping. Same seller as the last one. I think I laughed at this one. Atlas 10-inch lathe, live center, unmarked, moves freely. Moves freely. Well, yep, when they're a wore out piece of crap, they do move freely because they're sloppy as can be. Big picture, it's a live center, early live center. Too much money. You know, too much money. It could be a good live center. You're gonna have to put new bearings in it probably. You know, 10 bucks and 8 bucks shipping. That'll fit in a small flat rate box. We're assuming that's a proper Morse taper, which I would suspect it is, but you know, Atlas 10-inch lathe, lantern tool post, pre-owned, 75 bucks and 10.90 shipping. Standard tool post, same seller, not worth 75 bucks. You know, you're going to replace these. It's good to have a set of these old style tool posts to use for certain things and have a set of these around if you pick them up for next to nothing. As far as giving 75 bucks for one of these, no, you're far better off to put a quick change tool post on them. There are advantages to having these lantern style tool posts, but not for 75 bucks. You know, this is something you should have in your door for 25 bucks. That's all they're worth. This has got it's not an actual factory Atlas. You know, it would have had the square knob on the top to lock it in place. I don't believe it would have had that. You've got no rocker in there. Yeah, oh, I guess it does have the square on top. I don't believe that's Atlas, though. That's still somebody else's iteration of a screw. The Atlas would not have had that shoulder on it. Nope. Good to have them, but not for 75 bucks. That's a ripoff. 3 more and then we'll go away. Atlas 6-inch lathe, headstock and dry, pre-owned, 250 bucks at Aerobiz, $330 buy it now, and $60 shipping, $59.99. Fairly new seller. Got some feedback, but not a whole lot. 60 bucks shipping. What's the description say? Very good condition for age. Very good condition for age. You know what? I'm in very good condition for my age too, yet I've got joints that hurt, things that don't work like they're supposed to, but I'm in very good condition for my age too. 6-inch Atlas headstock, complete with back drive assembly as well, Timken bearings and a 1 in 10 spindle thread, motor pulley also included. I have mixed feelings about this. Why is it not on the machine, for one thing? Of course, I ask that about all of the stuff that I see listed when it's parts. You've got a headstock. You got no stuff for the end of the headstock. None of the extra little peripherals that go with it. If it was just the headstock, I'd say no, it's not worth 330 bucks. I'd say it's not worth 250 bucks, like they want to start the bidding at. It's used, it's dirty, grungy. What are we seeing here? Is that, I guess that's okay. Been sitting for quite a while, got a lot of gunk in it. Now it does have the countershaft assembly with it. And it looks like that's probably the motor pulley that goes with it. Handle's bent. I don't remember them originally being bent. I thought that was a straight handle, although I could be mistaken. Pretty yucky looking. Pretty yucky looking. Is it worth bidding on at 250 bucks? I don't know. I don't really think so. I think a buy it now of 250 might be okay, but you're still having to pay another $60 shipping. I would say a buy it now of about 200 bucks for that assembly would be a fair price. This is kind of a toughie. It may be worth a little bit more than that. It'll probably go for that. I don't think that I would give that much for it. You have to look at that and make your own decisions. Now this one, and we can say the seller didn't know, we can say the seller made a mistake, or we can say the seller was just too lazy to update their listings. Atlas 10D Craftsman lathe 9-16 lead screw bearing bracket. Brand new, $25, buy it now, free shipping. And this is a seller that's been around. If this is a new, then I must have been smoking dope, because it doesn't look new to me, and I don't smoke dope. So it says in the listing now, it's different from the initial thing. In the condition it says new, a brand new, unused, unopened, undamaged item in its original packaging or packaging it. This is one Atlas Craftsman metal lathe lead screw bracket for the 10D lathes. This part will last quite a long time if not abused. There are a few styles of lead screw brackets. I sell a few others, so ensure your part looks like this one, or check the manual from the web to make sure you get the correct part. Now I will ask you, when I first saw this I thought, well, it must be a 3D printed part. Well, this is a used piece of crap is what this is. Now there's 3 pictures here. I can't tell for certain. It's obviously not new. This is a used piece of junk. It was on a blue machine. You can still see remnants of the blue paint here and here. This is an earlier model, scarred to crap in here. And now I can't tell for sure. And I tend to say that it's probably not. But when I look at this area right here, is that a stress crack starting? And that may just be a scrape mark. That may just be a casting defect. If it's a casting defect, then it's going to be a stress point anyway. No, this is, and you can't tell from the pictures if it's, I tend to believe that's just a stress crack and not a crack that's already started right in there. It looks like just a mark in there, but that's going to be a stress area. There's no way I'm going to give 25 bucks for this piece of junk, and it certainly is not new. When you look at this side, you can see quite a bit more material in here, quite a bit of a radius. Whereas this one, you can't tell from this picture, but it's got a little stress crack there. If you look, you see some little marks out through here. Those may very well be stress cracks too, starting. Stay away from this piece of junk. 10 bucks in the door. 10 bucks. That's what this is worth. Other than that, don't waste your money. And the only other one I'm going to look at, Atlas Craftsman 10-12 inch lathe, nylon 30-tooth gear, 1/2 inch bore, refurbished, $8, buy it now, free shipping. I had to look at this for a while. 2 of them available, same seller. Now we know I'm not a fan of 3D prints for parts on our Atlas machine. For peripherals and things like that, that's fine. But actual parts that they made, things like gears and other stuff, these have no place on there. And the guys say, oh, well, they run fine, they last fine. Well, they're nylon, they flex. You put them up against the Zamac gear, you can either run them a little bit tighter, or you can do, you know, whatever. And yeah, they're going to run for a while, they're going to run quieter, they're going to be, it's because they're all going mush together. The description says, Atlas Craftsman 10 12-inch lathe, nylon 32th gear, half-inch bore. Mistaken nylon gear printed. This gear has a center half-inch bore and 32 teeth, shown in pictures with a half-inch shaft, for example, only to show right tolerance. This gear is half-inch thick. What this is this started being printed as a 2-gear assembly. This would have been our smaller internal gear. I would imagine as it printed up why there was a problem with it. It didn't fully print. Something went afoul. You ran out of filament, whatever the case may be. So what they did is they took that gear and they just sanded off the upper gear. So this is what you got left. Now, why would you put this piece of shit on your machine? Look at this. They sanded off the backside to hide the mistakes. You know, this is garbage. They say to show fit. Well, that doesn't look like it's a real good fit there. Now does it? So, piece of junk. Why would you waste your $8? Anyway, that's all I got for you today, guys. The more I look, the more disgusted I get with some sellers. So anyway, that's where we're at. That's what we're looking at. Oh, new Atlas Craftsman 9 12-inch lathe, change gear assembly and tailstock nut. Brand new, $3.99 and $5.80 shipping. This is the change gear nut, the nut that goes on the tailstock. It takes an 11/16 wrench is what it is. 5 available. It's from a seller that sells a bunch of new and a bunch of used parts. Been around. $3.99 and $5.80 shipping. So what does it say for the description? Because it gives you more clues. New Atlas Craftsman 9 12-inch lathe, change gear assembly and tailstock nut, 3/8/16 thread and 11/16 across the flats. This is a 3/8/16 jam nut that you can trot over to your big box store. You can trot right on over to your big box store and buy a jam nut, whether it's your big box store or your Ace Hardware. And I was at my Ace Hardware store yesterday actually buying some 1/2-inch 13 jam nuts for a project that I do. And for the larger size, I believe I gave $1.19 a piece for them from my Ace Hardware store. And they're pretty expensive on that. But anyway, you can trot over to your big box store, your Ace Hardware store, give $1.19 for a 3/8/16 jam nut, take it home and put it on your change gear assembly or on your tailstock if you need one. This I believe will fit quite a few other places on the Atlas machines for holding handles on and some stuff like that. But all they are is a 1/2-inch jam nut. These are zinc plated. Like I say, a 1/2-inch 13 was $1.19, and it's obviously a little bit more. I think these were, what, 89 cents, 99 cents, $1.09, $1.19, something. Anyway, that's a far cry from buying one off of Fleabay, spending $8 or $9 to get it shipped into you when you can trot over and get it for 1/10 the cost, 1/8 the cost, whatever the case may be. Anyway, now we're done. That's what I got for you. Comments, suggestions, leave them in the comments section for me below. And as always, guys, thanks for taking the time to watch.